Hello. I am bringing you Tuesday's thought for the day to just share something that God's been speaking to me about recently and to hopefully bless and encourage you through it. So what I wanted to share was about both the command and encouragement and blessing of remembering God. And recently I've been reading through the book of Deuteronomy, which is an epic 34-chapter sermon that Moses gives on the plains of Moab as he's just led the Israelites, God's people, out of 40 years of wilderness trekking as they left slavery in Egypt and are about to go into the promised land that God has given them. But in that time in between, they have gone through 40 years of rebellion and being stubborn and refusing to live as God wants them to live. And Moses has had to stand in the gap and intercede for them time and time again. And God has given them commands to live that are good and true and life-giving. And they are on this journey of learning to live as God wants them to, as his people. And Moses personally has experienced God restore and rescue him from his life in Egypt. He's encountered God doing crazy miracles and doing what he thought he wouldn't be able to do. And at one point he nearly doesn't go through with it. He doesn't think he can do it, but God raises him up and uses him as the leader of the Israelites to bring them out of captivity. And as Moses is about to die, he gives this kind of final exaltation to remember what God has done. And as I've been reading through it, I'm amazed at how many times, and I mean, it's a crazy number. You need to read Deuteronomy. It's a crazy number. He says time and time again, remember what God has done. Don't forget. Don't forget. Remember. Don't walk to the left or the right. Don't be stiff-necked like you were. Love God with all that you are. Don't be tempted to live as other people live in the lands that you passed through. Remember, remember, remember. And I think he says that so often because he knew then, and God knows still today, how quick we are to forget, forget, forget. We're so quick to forget God's goodness and faithfulness. And we might sit here now in a place of judgment on the Israelites reading this, thinking, how could they have forgotten God's goodness? They've just seen him not let their shoes wear out, and they've seen God do amazing miracles and give them food from heaven and wipe out opposing armies and enemies before them. How could they be so stupid as to forget? And yet I think back in my life and how quick I am to forget. And as I was reading this, God was just gently reminding me of the power of remembrance. And actually that's God's command to write his word on our hearts, to build stones. That's what some people in the Bible did, of times when God met them powerfully, to remember that meeting with God and the impact it had on their life. And when God puts a rainbow in the sky, that is a reminder to us of his provision and faithfulness and protection. And when we take communion, it's a reminder of what Jesus has done for us and how he has saved us. And I was challenged through reading this to put a visual remembrance book together of the times when God has powerfully spoken to me and changed the trajectory of my walk with him through things he said, or through meetings I've had, or through ways where there was no way and God made a way. And I'm going to make a photo book of different pictures that represent times in my life when God has powerfully done something and how he has changed me and changed my walk with him through that. So I just wanted to challenge you to remember what God has done in your life and do something practical. That might be a photo book, that might be a letter, that might be a picture, but do something intentional to remember, because when we remember who God has been for us personally, it reminds us of his faithfulness and gives us a hard, firm footing to walk in that goodness and faithfulness in the years to come.